Yeah, well, that's what I was saying before. Like, I feel like everyone's anxious. Who's not anxious?
Well, I think
There's something wrong with you if you're not anxious.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like.
Well, I think anxiety has been like the idea of anxiety. Somebody else said it on the show where only in the past like 10 years has anxiety become the number one. Before that, maybe it was like depression or something like that, right? And I feel like that goes hand in hand with technology, the access to information, social media, all that stuff kind of compounds into this feeling of anxiety.
Yeah.
And they go hand in hand, right? The development of technology. So to me, it makes sense why you have anxiety, because you're constantly glued to your phone and to your computer with access to everything and to see everyone,
Living their best lives.
comparing yourself to everybody and then reading about all the things that's happening around the world or your community or whatever. So it compounds. So you're getting all this information in your brain, and it's going to raise this anxiety.
This also connects to, another thing we should talk to you about is the whole idea of body image, right? Eating disorders. And I think that connects directly to what you're saying, Howie. And I think a lot of that is, I mean, it's still, I'm sure it still exists, but would it still be as big of a problem as it is without the abundance of social media and everyone comparing like themselves to each other?
I think I went to a talk provided by a psychiatrist who practiced internationally. He did or his colleague did a research in Nepal just to see that after getting the impact of Western media, Facebook, Instagram, and all that, how that changed the teenagers' body image. And they do find a result, a positive association that the more people are exposed to media, social media, all the images, the more likely they got body image concern. And sometimes that even lead to exacerbate it into disordered eating.
Actually, what you're saying right there, it immediately brings me to think about when you're looking at like Weibo or your 朋友圈, the WeChat moments and stuff like that. And then you'll see like people posting selfies and stuff like that. But you have these filters, on the phone and editing on the phone that literally makes you look like an alien. Right? You don't even look human for some of these photos. I mean, yes, you have the typical beauty filters and stuff like that, but then you have some that just really makes your face so thin. And
eyes like huge.
And I remember I had somebody that was on my friend's moments, and I asked them, I was like, do you enjoy this type of photo? I'm just curious, and they're like, no, I know I look like an alien, but I think this looks nice. You know what I mean? Like it was like a very normal conversation, as if it was like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. It's not like I'm oblivious to what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing.
But do they though?
I don't know.
Like what's that term? Body dysmorphia? Is that how you say it?
Yeah, there is.
Dysmorphia?
Body dysmorphia.
Is it almost a version of that where they have some sort of body dysmorphia where they can't see their own image as it really is, and they have some sort of distorted view of what they look like or what they should look like? And so for us, when we look at it, we're like, that looks like an alien. Like, looks like a cartoon, right? But to them, it might not look as crazy as we see it, right? So we don't know. To them, it might be like, oh, well, that's like the ideal.
And that's why they replied like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. It's fine. It's normal.
Right, exactly. That will be how people, because there is also physiological change in their prefrontal cortex where people did firmly believe I look like that. Whether that's good or not, I look like that. You don't, like, I see the world differently from how you see the world. That's why when people struggle with anorexia, starve themselves to death, and then still see themselves being in large body,
They can't be
instead of
skinny enough, right? Like no matter how skinny, like we can be like, you're dying, you're like, you're so thin.
Right.
To them, they still feel like they're overweight. Is that how it works?
It's like a different way of a different camera they have to view every day of life.
I feel I have a very slight version of the opposite of that. So when I look at myself in the mirror, I'm like, that is one handsome guy I'm looking at right there. Boom. when I see myself in photos and videos, I am like, that is the fattest freaking piece of shit on this planet, you know? So it's almost like I call it like I have like a fun house mirror in my bathroom, like a trick mirror. So like when I look at myself, I'm like, okay, I'm not that bad.
Hmm.
But then when I really look at myself, I'm like, oh, I am that bad. I don't know. Is that some sort of body dysmorphia?
Well, we were laughing. Can I ask what you were
I'm laughing
laughing?
because I feel the same way.
Oh, do
That's
you?
why
I
I'm
thought you were
laughing.
laughing at me.
No, I'm
You're
laughing because like
you're laughing
yeah,
with me.
yeah,
Okay.
I'm very similar to that in a way.
No, there has to be some consistency in how you see yourself. No, just sometimes like this, sometimes like that. But that's a good, it's an interesting thing to reflect on what's so unique about the mirror in your bathroom, right? And what's different when you take photos, and would you think differently when you just take photos and see it yourself, or when you take photos with other people taking photos of you and they have to view you, that immense fear of being judged, being commented on, maybe that is something change our mindset.
Yeah. I mean, how big of a problem is this right now? In terms of body image eating disorder.
Mm-hmm. It can be, the thing is, it is very under detected because people, there is this thing culture where, well, of course, I want to be thinner and all that. So there is not a lot of, not similar to how we view depression and anxiety. We more or less know that that can be a problem. But when we think about eating, well, how problematic can be? I eat less. What's the problem? Well, that's so good. I can lose weight and all that. So there is all this culture, like, uh, what's that word? That letting this thing to continuously happen, and when people really start to seek professional help, it's already get really, really bad. So that's why eating disorders are a complex issue, not just a psychological thing. There have to be a lot of physical impacts, which make it really hard to treat. It has to be a huge team with not just psychologists but also psychiatrists, physicians, and nutrition and all that. It's really complex to treat them. So the mortal rate is really high.
The what rate is really?
The rate of death
Really?
from eating disorder is really high. I think it's the highest.
Worldwide?
Yes,
I had no
worldwide.
idea.
I had no idea either.
People can literally starve them to death, and the suicidal rate is so high because people cannot tolerate the feeling of being in their body.